Okay. And the magic machine tells me again, woo, that I am live. The magic machine tells me again that I am live. And I think I looked and I see that I've already got two people in the live chat. We say hello to Tim Fry. Tim Fry, yes, Fry. Gold coin onto you. Gold medal onto you for live chat participation. Somewhat ironically, we issue a silver medal for live chat participation onto Golden Coin 100. And I say hello. And we also have Golden Coin 100 on Twitch. So Golden Coin 100 gets their gold medal on Twitch. Hey, folks, you got to be in it to win it. And we're alive on all fronts. Okay. Lost Decades solo meta TTRPG Let's Play. So this is a proposed new name for this aspect of my meta RPG airsats time travel via magical make believe game. Um, we've been dancing around it, talking about it, but all the names that we've been working with, because they deal with these compound, prior notions and thoughts like the nostalgia loops, the secret space program, time traveler technology, all those, past, events and mishigas that we had going on prior to this channel on, my abstracted CW Chanter channel and all the rest. Take a look at the description box below. You got to look at all of the tributaries if you want to get all of the sources of information. But lately, we had been concentrating most particularly on going back and playing this version of the game and talking about trying to get it from this, solo space of just me and talking about some people's interest in maybe joining the table and coming out here and shaking it up. So the meta RPG, let's 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 not go there. Let's just keep it simple. So what I've decided to do is take this thing that we've been playing with, which was we had from our previous instances the global, the meta, true meta initiative of the SSP, TTT, the meta RPG, the secret space program, time traveling technology. We had the methodology of looking at old movies and media from the past, from particular periods of time that we wanted to play in, go into, and influence. Folks, I use these terms like time travel, psychic phenomenon, energy dispersal, trans-dimensional transportation to places unknown. I, I I like to think that I'm a practical person, and I've got um, at least one foot in contemporary consensus reality sanity. So the notion that we're actually going to travel through time. I'm not here to pitch against it, because I got to tell you is that what you get out of it is what you put into it. Like any practice, if you go beyond the notion, and what we're doing here is that this is not just. I mean, if you guys want to shoot yourselves in the foot as a tabletop RPG channel, if you want to go one step beyond of committing the commercial suicide of not just covering fifth edition Dungeons and Dragons, you cover things that are not fifth edition Dungeons and Dragons. If you really want to commit commercial suicide in the world of TTRPGs, which is like basically drowning yourself in the Marianas Trench, it's like it's not necessary. Like you can drown yourself in a couple inches of water. You do not need to go to the deepest part, but if you want to go, you can. So if you really want to fail at failing, be a YouTube TTRPG player that does not even play regular games, but tries to come up with their own shtick, you will you'll be alone. But then again, maybe that's for the best. Anywho, we say hello to Tolkien Study. Tolkien Study getting the bronze, getting the bronze in live chat participation, and making the joke. This looks like my schedule next month. I had an idea for a way that we could do this on Nostalgia Loop Nightmares. You know, that a kind of a side project I've been thinking about, where I would take these movies from 2000. Here we have movies from 2014 because that's the particular year that we're working on with this playthrough. And let me do this playthrough of this instance of the meta RPG that I'm calling now. God, I hope this name is not already taken by TTRPG. If it's taken by a regular RPG, a video game, I don't give a goddamn. But I'm calling it Lost Decades, based on the fact that at the time that we're picking the name up, we're looking at the year 2014 as we're rapidly approaching its 10th anniversary, and all that entails. So that entails not much from your perspective, or everything in the world, depending on your perspective on nostalgia loops and the degree to which we are shackled to repeating endlessly the tropes and media images and metaphors and mishigas of the past. One idea. So I watch these old movies, so everything we're trying to do is based on kind of a simple premise of essentially the kind of the esoteric element of it is we want to concentrate on particular years, and we're weaponizing these things. This notion that I have of nostalgia loops, that there are certain loops in time, 20-year loops, 25-year loops, 30-year loops, 10-year loops, where things come back naturally over and over again. And I have overarching theories and meta theories about how long this has been going on and taking place. That's fine. I'll steal from that bitch all day. Encyclopedia Brown, if he's not in the public domain by this point, he deserves to be. Because it's just that essential. I mean, he's one of the great books, right? They teach him at the great book schools. Encyclopedia Brown? I believe they do. Anyway, how to test if someone's Canadian. I like Snoopy, but the Hardy Boys are cool. But without a doubt, the best under 9-year-old private investigator of all time is, if they say Encyclopedia Brown, they're Canadian. Anyway, I think it was Encyclopedia Brown. They may have had their own variation on it. I forget what the joke is. Anyway, let's not go too far afield. What we've been doing is concentrating on using things from just a given year, and for 2014 because we're coming up on the 10-year nostalgia loop, and also because when I started this particular instance of the gameplay, I was obsessed with the notion that we were coming up on the 10th anniversary. Oh shit, it might be coming up, of the debut of Rick and Morty, which I'm convinced is a sign of the apocalypse, because this endless notion of recycling the 80s over and over again and recycling it. Like, if you look back, if you study movies from 2014, like here, they did the remake of RoboCop. When did they do the remake of RoboCop? They did it in 2014. It was 10 years ago. And it's amazing how much stuff you'll realize it was 10 years ago already, that a lot of these remakes that we're decades into reboot culture, that we've been recycling the past endlessly now for decades in and of itself. So when people are trying to kind of naturally have a nostalgic return to their youth, they don't even get a nostalgic return to quote unquote their youth. It's this hand-me-down youth of a prior generation. Why has it been G.I. Joe, Star Wars, Transformers, Barbie, or whatever, all these particular media products from the 80s, He-Man, Tron, why do they keep on doing these things from the 80s over and over and over again? Some of it, oh, the people love it, the kids love it. Ghostbusters as well. Oh, people love it, the kids love it. Do they? Star Wars, the endless recycling of Star Wars. To we had one point where we could reflect on before 1999. You could reflect being a Star Wars fan and saying, "Geez, I wish there was more Star Wars." Right? I just wish we have these movies. We have. If you want to get into the books are okay. If you want to get into this, but essentially, for a million years, Star Wars was a done deal. Oh, my oh, my apologies. Every once in a while, somebody actually calls the law office. What do you know? Anyhow, um, why do we have these constant reiterations and then going back to the past over and over again, and no introduction of new media, new things happening? I don't want to be essentially always negative about, but part of this is a reaction to that, is finding ways to try and cut up, rejigger, redo the past ourselves, not taking the new Transformers Beast War movie with its 7-Eleven tie-in, 3-liter sugar water cup in toto as a given, but saying, no, I will be aware of the fact that Transformers is being rolled out yet again, one more time, and no one understand that. Oh, it's interesting. Here they are doing the new Transformers movie, and the new Transformers movie is Beast Wars. And folks, I got to tell you something. Um, it was in 1996 or 1997 that Transformers, in an attempt to stay viable, went Beast Wars. They had Dinobots before. They had different, but the Beast Wars and the Beast Wars with those beyond, you know, holy crap, those reboot CGI computer graphics, whatever. But Beast Wars, the Transformers Beast Wars era, was not, top of the line Transformers. That was not like the peak by any stretch of the imagination. But it's time in the loop. But you get the sense that we only move forward into Beast Wars kind of regrettably, meaning not just us, but the people that are trying to sell us Beast Wars, as well, because they know that people know Optimus Prime, they know the Decepticons, they know Starscream as a jet, they know things as things from their past, and they don't generally know. Not a lot of people know that show was not a hit. The notion of Gorilla Optimus Prime is not a natural fit for a lot of people. It doesn't make a lot of sense, and it's hard to fit it into these narratives, but it's where they're at and it's what they got. So I said before, like, we had the time where there was, not enough Star Wars, and then all of a sudden you blink twice, we say hello to Bucky Wilkins. Bucky, how you doing, baby? You blink twice, and all of a sudden a lot of us are saying there's too much Star Wars. Even if you're a diehard Star Wars fan, it's hard to keep up. Forget about the number of movies that they release, the number of TV shows with variations and all these things. To keep track of everything is very difficult. And the core things that made the thing, Star Wars, the success that it was, it's kind of a shame that, George Lucas wants to reduce it to, a movie about space wizards with, light swords, because that's by no means why Star Wars was successful by any stretch of the imagination. It is not just a science fiction movie, but it now becomes that. It now just becomes another science fiction IP where endless amounts of variation material just come out of it. And if it's got a lightsaber, they got certain people using the Force, there's good and evil, okay. And we'll have these upper echelon moral and ethical struggles come through as elements, but they're on the side. And it's certainly not the thing that would make the thing the thing. You know, as good a show as The Mandalorian is, as good a show as any of these, as good a product any of these entertainment products may be, as movies themselves, if they were the first instance of the thing, I don't think there's anyone that would say, you know, that the Last Jedi or whatever was some sort of cultural landmark or phenomenon. We're so good that we're going to keep on coming back to it again and again. No, the part five is only occurring because part one was successful. It's not self-justifying. It's cash grab. I mean, no matter what you want to do. I mean, it just at a certain point, you know, it just becomes those things. So we don't want to just take those things. We don't just want to have another healthy serving of, you know, vaporwave, outrun, palm tree, over pink neon grid with, you know, like the Stranger Things music phenomenon. Like it doesn't sound like the 80s. That's not what shit from, so a lot of shit from the 80s did not sound like that. But you do, a lot of people that want to do these kind of retro 80s things now, you see they're not even doing real tributes to the 80s. They're doing tributes to what people think is 80s aesthetics. So you have these like kind of like non movies where it's, the movie will even have a title, the name of the year in the title, like Horror Town 1987. And the soundtrack has got songs on it from 1992. People are wearing fashion from whatever. And the plot line is listed from a movie from 2001, a little bit of I Know What You Did. It's just a mess. But anyway, not to focus on the negative, to try and turn something positive out of something negative, what I've been doing is watching these movies from 10 years ago. And what ends up happening is, and there's also Destiny, the video game, I got some things. When you watch these movies or TV shows or movies, or even you can take spells from the books, this is going into the spellcraft and the spell production, you see things, you note things, and you write them down, and they become the spells. And then we were taking, and if that sounds abstract, I can understand. Do you know what I mean? To give way of example, here's Rick and Morty episode, season 1, episode 6. This is Rick Potion number 9. So just kind of going in order. Simple principle, vagina is in charge. Your story about banging my daughter in high school. Your story about banging my daughter in high school. That's just like a thing that is said. And it's like, okay, like that is a fire moment. That is just like an activating moment. So we take it as a spell, make a love potion. It could be an instruction. And we would use these spells in place of normal TTRPG spells, or you could use these spells in a kind of meta practice in your everyday life, or you could just use it as a process of creating a, you know, cut up. You know, like I present to you, you know, Rick and Morty, season 1, episode 7, Raising Gazorpazorp in, well, that's a bad example, but like in 5 phrases. 70 smidgens for what? 60 smidgens for the resonator and the sex robot. Drop in loads to Zardoz tribute. You can't run from the alien footloose youth. Violence and threats of poison gas, but also dancing. So sometimes they're direct quotes, and sometimes it's other things. Here's a movie from 2015 called The Hoarder. Living in a world of limitless booty potential. He's got a storage unit. The dame with the break-in past. Too busy with regular wackos. Red and yellow uniform security. So these could be individuals, they could be people, they could be noteworthy, it could be a moment. Heavy metal Wayne, door deception. Soon to be ex Ian. Lights on, girl over bucket. Molly grabbed by monster in the dark. Open to see your friend being feed. Oh, okay. And then we, in this instance of the game that we're now calling Lost Decades, we were taking this thing called the Voltrum Diceless Landshut role playing rules by Norbert G. Nata Touche, Natauche, Natouche. Do it to me, baby, one more. Anyway, where he had this diceless role playing rules that just basically led us to a very easy form of character creation with rating things stats between 1 and 6. I'm not going to redo everything every thing. I've got these past videos talking about this game, so you can look to those. So we created a character. We created multiple characters. We created NPCs, and we also using the rules from the micro chapbook RPG system by Noah Patterson. We kind of took some of those to create the framework for play. The creation of rooms or dimensions. Via rolling a 6-sided dice to arrive on which type of room we're getting, and using that also as a kind of a rating system or ranking system of easy rooms and benign places to difficult places, and likewise with doors and portals, the places we go through. And we've been playing around this game and looking at it and doing a couple of playthroughs and kind of experimenting and learning as we go. And what has kind of happened is, this is what happens to me often, is that I'll have an idea for a game like this and I'm working on it and I'm experimenting with it and I'm excited about it. And one of the biggest aspects of it will be kind of a behind the scenes prep aspect of it. So over like the last, I'd say, God, for as long as I've been talking about this, I've been just watching movies and TV shows and reading books and like video and RPG games from just basically 2014, with maybe some exceptions for things from 2013. So and that. And what can end up happening is that I can get burnt out on a year before I've done, a lot of the technically playing the playthrough. But it always raises this question of, what is the purpose of the playthrough, and is the idea executed when the idea is explained, or do we need to keep on playing? Also, I was contacted by people who were saying that they were interested in playing along, but then that kind of fell by the wayside. So if people are actually interested in playing with me, I've said this before and I'll say it again, you can send me an email to c.w.chanter@gmail.com. I've got I'm like that lady at the in whatchamacallit, at in Fight Club, the cancer survivor who's like telling people it's been so long since she's had a guy over, and then all of a sudden it's like, I got lube, I got poppers. You know what I mean? Like look at all the game sheets, look at all the character sheets I have. I was like, I better be prepared. We don't know how many people are going to join us. We don't know how many NPCs we're going to need to drop. We don't know how many player characters we're going to need. Better be prepared. Look, I have a Xerox machine in the office, so yeah, okay. So I got a little enthusiastic. Basically, every time someone acted like, "Oh, I might play too," I was like, "Better run off like 5 of these." But there's like, and then occasionally I'd forget like how many I had left in the thingamabobber, in the hopper. So I'd end up making too many. So anyway, so bottom line is this: I'm set for character sheets, I guess. Also, wanted to tell you that in 2014 was when Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition came out. So we're coming up on the 10th anniversary of 5th edition. So yeah, so people are acting like Dungeons and Dragons is dead, or that 2024 when they release obviously the new edition, that it's going to be some sort of revolution and people are going to keep on going to Pathfinder, which they're not, or whatever. You're a joke. You're wrong. It's 2024 is going to be the 50th anniversary of Dungeons and Dragons. Dungeons and Dragons works so well because they hit those nostalgia loops all the time so consistently. They hit those loops. You can tell that the people that work there, the people that people hate, right? That work there, that have worked there throughout the decades, they know. Whenever a 4 comes around, you look at the years, you can see they are always ready to hit the nostalgia button for people. And the question is whether or not it's still there to be pumped. You know, people talking about Dungeons and Dragons and the success of fifth edition. There are a lot of people, including people like Matt, Colville, like people who are like considered experts in this field. I am an amateur compared to people like that who think that the success of Dungeons and Dragons fifth edition is somehow a success story that we need to be talking about. Um, Matt Mercer and Critical Role and Stranger Things. And I say, Stranger Things and Critical Role were not successful, or D&D was not successful because of Stranger Things and Critical Role. Critical Role and Stranger Things were successful because of things like D&D. Critical Role was successful because of D&D. That's why they switched from Pathfinder that they were playing first to Dungeons and Dragons, because they knew no one could relate to what they were doing unless they were playing Dungeons and Dragons, and that's when they did what they did. If there are other people that are playing Pathfinder, you have to take a look at whether or not they're playing the first edition or the second edition. Because first edition Pathfinder is Dungeons and Dragons 3.5. Eat me. That's a fact. Blow me. Jason Blumenthal's, whatever his name's, like, house rules notwithstanding, it's fucking 3.5. Just get off my back. You know what I mean? So, the notion that, that they've screwed something up, or that, that everything's going away. I'm not doing this to be a fanboy. It's just saying this. Also, it's like Stranger Things was just a nostalgia delivery machine. There's a reason why it was in 1980, what was it, 1983 or whatever? 1983, 84, 85, 86. There's a reason why the powers that be seem to want us to keep us there, right? Because it was this period of, like, maybe because it was a period of growth or fantasy of growth or whatever, consumerism, right? Let's keep us in the 80s and let's not go to the 90s where, no, what's happening? Where, Nirvana and Sonic Youth and Stone Temple Pilots and nostalgia remind us, oh yeah, it's all a joke, and we don't need to do any of that stuff. Also, the other thing I want to point out is that no one needs to pay any money for TTRPGs anymore. All of this shit's free. All of these rules, all of these regulations, all of these how-tos, there's so much of this information that is just free that I just got to point that out. A lot of this is just voluntary consumerism by people who we oftentimes, I think, voluntarily consume, because if we stop, we might actually think about what the hell's going on, and that might be, very, very scary. Anyway, not to be too serious. There you go. I think you should laminate each one, right? Dry erase, because we want to make sure that we don't waste them. And, here's the other thing. Doctor Who, if you want to know other things from 2014 that you can harvest, if you want to play along with me for spells, Doctor Who, the 8th season with the Scottish Doctor, is started in 2014. So there's that too. So anyway, when we last left off, our gal, Crystal 911, had scared off, I think she had scared off a female carjacker. And in their haste to escape, the female carjacker had left behind I believe it was because we got the $4 from and also it's like in a microchap RPG, you roll the dice of what 6-sided dice to determine treasure. If it's 1 through 5, you get that much in gold, and if it's a 6, then you go to this other table. Oh shit! I figured out. I did a. Oh man, hold on, wait, because I got that too. Hold on 1 second. I got a little lapel mic. I have to unmic when I come over. I can't just. Oh, David Tennant is Scottish too. But this was the one that he was like, I'm Scottish, right? He opens up with, who am I? Ooh, this is the sound of my voice. I'm Scottish, am I? Am I Scottish? I want to fuck that dinosaur, and I'm Scottish. There's not a Scottish accent. I'm not a rapper. Oh, get the reference? Yo! Oh shit! What time is it? Oh shit! I gotta go. Hold on. Thank God I was in time. I almost just like totally. I almost totally blanked. Oh my God! First of all, terrible review. I'm gonna give a bad review to this project. Whatever this was, the book of blank random tables. This seemed useful when I saw the description and the small price point on Amazon. Be aware of Amazon. Like, there's so many of these people. First of all, I hate these people who are like, you can make so much money selling intentionally useless bullshit crap on Amazon. Here's how I made 5 books using AI. That there's no indication that any of these people think that their AI books are like readable, like are good or anything at all. It's just like there are people that just like give these courses on how to put shit on the internet for people to buy accidentally, right? You know what I mean? So even this thing that's got advertised the book of blank random tables. And the way it was described is the book of blank random tables. So I thought, oh, this is awesome. There'll be random tables that I can then fill in, right? So you think like what? A couple of D6 tables, a couple of D20 tables. Look at it. It's just this. And if you even look at this, like the way that it's organized, they're not numbered. It's just this. Like some genius was just like, oh, I'll do this for. I'm sure people like who do 109 pages and we'll call that a book. Yeah, so you fool me once or whatever. So I use it as best as I can. So here are RPG items from 2014 because we had problems getting items or figuring out all the items because they're all dispersed in the various movies. So I went through and I took from using interpolate and going back and forth between the items listed in the starter set rulebook from 2014 from D&D and the player's quick start guide for The Strange by Monty Cook Games, written by Bruce R. Cardell. So I interpolated and got 100 item um, list for 2014. So I want my fantasies to type this up and put this on Patreon so that people on the RPG site can have reason to want to go over to Patreon. So anyway, so when we roll in the future, we'll have an actual D100 table of items from 2014 that we can get. So there you go. I just wanted to show you that I did that too. Anywho, back to nonsense. Oh shit, but it is 4:58, so I still got to go. I still used it. No, hey, listen, I got it, and then I got it. I was like, well, was a rip off, but I'll use it, and I'll use it for something. And then I found it. I was like, well, here we go. So anyway, boom. Another thing, I hadn't been drawing maps, and I said to myself, you're going to reach a point where it's going to be problematic because you're not going to be able to remember all the places, past, dimension number 2 or whatever. And whatchamacallit, it'll become problematic if you try and leave it to the last minute and then say to yourself when you've got like 7 episodes to try and watch to figure out and reverse engineer what the map should be. So I said to myself, we're only going to move forward. So there's no mapping in this game, this instance of the meta RPG. It's to giving it a new name like Lost Decades is so that people can clearly understand that every instance of gameplay within the space of meta RPG time travel play isn't necessarily, it's not meant to limit it. It's not to say that by adopting the Voltrum rules or by adopting or incorporating aspects of micro chapbook RPG that those are required elements of how to play this game. And really, you'd have to watch my past videos about time travel and all this stuff to figure out what the heck I'm talking about. But you're not going to want to do that because no one ever does. So it is what it is. Anywho, when it comes to rolling for items, when it comes to rolling 1 through 5 and then getting just that amount of gold, we're using dollars, whatever. but I figured we have to do it times 10 because $4, $3, it's like, I don't know, like it's just the economics of scale. Anyway, so we find ourselves in this moment where we know that I think that we believe that we're still in, what were we at? Where were we in? I think we're in a labyrinth. And I guess the question would be whether or not post being post having this encounter with the lady carjacker, who, intimidated by our amazing skill of that we rate as a 5 of death, the ultimate stroke reducer, plus take into account our equipment that we rate as a 4, which includes a hatchet for the unmoving. She just chiefed out. That female carjacker was like, nope, because their baseline, I think, what is she? She's like a number 4, right? So she was like, I'm out of here. You're going to kill me. So she just like chiefed. She failed the Morkborg morale test and got the heck out of there alive, right? Leaving behind this a mule, because we had to figure out item generation kind of randomly. So we got a mule out of the D&D book and we left it to there. So moving on. So I think that we're still in this labyrinth like area, and now we're up a mule. Um, so be it. But I'm at 5:02, and I do have to go, shortly. But what we could do is we have a decision to make about whether or not we want to stay in this labyrinth area that we're in now and further explore, or whether or not we want to proceed with the kind of the meta RPG element of things and just roll for the next number of doors out of the place, and what kind of doors they might be, and where we might be going next. We could do that if we wanted to. And like I said, hopefully this is serving as some sort of explanation to what's going on, and some sort of fun. And if not, well, what are you going to do? So we'll roll a 6-sided dice, and you know what I mean. The elements of dicelessness have to do with conflict resolution between player characters and the environment. We're using the random elements to find things like on random tables, like to figure out what kind of doors we're encountering, the number of doors, or to figure out, what we're getting on an item list, right? Tolkien Study says, I want out of this labyrinth. Not a problem. So we're going to figure out how many doors are out of this labyrinth by taking a 6-sided dice. It's a 3. We got to have that. It's 1.5. Round up or round down. We'll round up to 2. So we've got 2 doors. 2 doors. What kind of door do we got? First, we'll check out the door on the left. I got to find my play manual here. Hold on. Here we go. And remember, we have to note this, because we figured out that we already encountered in keeping with the rules of micro chapbook RPG. We want to encounter all of these monsters at least once before we're going to encounter the big bad, Ginger Lynn Wasabi. Okay, who's fully statted out like one of our main guys. Okay, anyway, so we've encountered Dr. Murder Baby. We know that we've encountered Lady Carjacker, so we just want to make a notation of that. So we got 2 doors, and so we're gonna check out the door on the left first. Metaphorically, it's a hypothetical left, to figure out what kind of door or portal we have. Boom. 2, show us your concept of good TV. We know that we always ace that because our gal, Crystal 911, dude. Well, number one, she could blow it by, she has a 6 in breaking sacred seals and barriers, so she could just either just walk through it, but it's not really a sacred seal or barrier, so I'd be like, whatever, dude. She's also a Dr. Whistleblower. That's like her archetype. So she could be like, I'm Dr. Whistleblower, blah, 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 and explain things, but she only rates that as a 2. She's not up on herself as a whistleblower. She's like an ambivalent Neo. That explains some of the backstory, but that's actually good. Probably explains some of the backstory too. But she's got her equipment that she rates as a 4. She has a metallic blue-green bikini. Need I say more? okay? And her vehicle is the Antichrist hover car. So when we saw her encounter to show us her concept of good TV, we pointed out the fact that she's like riding on top of the vehicle. She's like, she can do whatever she wants. She can flex. She could be like, what do you want? I'm a doctor in a bikini, and I've got the Antichrist hover car. She could give him the finger. First of all, she's a gal, right? You say a little R in that thing. So no offense. You know what I mean? She shows up on screen. It's somebody's concept of good TV. So we got that on the left. Let's take a look at the other door to see if we want to. If we want to. Oh, that's a 6. Okay, that's a 6, and 6 is it will weigh your heart and judge. We don't want anything to do with that. We're going to wuss on that. So Crystal takes a look at the 2 doors and understands that she can be salacious and just blow away the door that's looking for the concept of good TV. And the concept of the door that's looking for the concept of shows your concept of good TV. Now it says show us your concept of good TV, so it'd be like her concept of good TV, but her concept of what people consider good TV is she doesn't like TV. I just know that about her. I played her long enough to know that she doesn't like TV. She's kind of like ambivalent about most, conscious, there's use the term human loosely because is she human? We'll get into that. But she's understands the concept of quote unquote what's good TV is, cheek show. She knows that it's dumb. It's not like she doesn't have a notion of like good TV being good TV. She would know that it's just doing that. And she also knows that I believe that she knows that it will weigh your heart and judge that she doesn't feel as though she's going to pass that test. Because even though she has a 6 in breaking sacred seals and barriers, and so under some interpretations, she might say, oh, I can just walk through that because that will weigh your heart and judge. Well, I have a 6 in breaking sacred seals and barriers. That's a sacred seal and barrier. So I'm walking through even Steven. But even being that perfect parity, because she's got that skill at a 6 and it's a 6 level door, means that she's just even Stevens. So I just feel like kind of like it's just an edge case. And she knows that look, dude, she knows what she's done to get through past, doors that have wanted concepts of good TV. She's morally and ethically ambivalent about her status as a whistleblower. Do you know what I mean? So there's some conflict here. So she's clearly going to go for the other door. Okay. And we'll figure out where what the other door leads to, what other room the other door leads to. 6. Do you really think this world is real? Do you really think this world is real? And we talked about the rooms get more intense. The first room is Tibetan prayer flags at St. Equus. That's home base. That's a safe spot. You can recharge. You can recharge your batteries. You can drop off the mule so you can have a nice life free from the lady carjackers of the world, the whole 9. But you go up, it gets harder. And do you think this world is real? That's 6. That's like dun 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 dun, like everything's gone crazy. So even though Crystal's passed through this line and this door to go into this place because she didn't want to do the other one, and even though she passed through doing her typical shenanigans, that's the way I call it. Just play it through. She does her typical shenanigans. She knows what they want from the concept of good TV. She might even just fucking flash her boobs and just have the door go blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? It's got like a face on it. It's got like a little finger. It's a door wants to shows what you got. It's like wants to show your concept of good TV. It's like then once you do it, it's satisfied. It opens on up. But she gets this other place. Do you even think this world is real? She knows that it's not. That's part of the problem. Okay, so here's the backstory on Crystal 911. So people have talked about the fact that for a guy that hates Rick and Morty so much, there's an awful lot of Rick and Morty. I've become obsessed with Rick and Morty for a lot of different reasons, and none of them have anything to really do with thinking that I like it or that it's like the greatest TV show ever, or that you have to be smart to appreciate it or anything like that. It's just the fact of where it lines up in time and what's happening with it. And where our mind goes when we're imagining these adventures. And so you can see the point of this, you can see people playing solo RPGs on YouTube all the time. There are people that seem to get their rocks off, by just, they roll for, the type of terrain, and their guy has to harvest, fish to live. And I am not saying that that is not the way to do it. I'm just saying my way of doing it is just a way to, I'm more interested in figuring out what the stories are and figuring out what the narrative is than figuring out, resource management on paper, figuring out how long a guy has had, a torch burning. So whatever. So when the Dr. Whistleblower, okay, is from RoboCop 2014. That's the guy, the main guy, the Gary Oldman's character. But she only rates that as a 2. But here's the backstory on Crystal 911. You know that episode of Rick and Morty where there's the battery in Rick's car turns out to be a small universe that he's just created so that the people inside the small universe can generate energy for him, for his car. There's also a character known as Doofus Rick, who appears in one of the first season episodes involving the when we first were introduced to the Council of Ricks. And Doofus Rick is, I'm obsessed with Doofus Rick, and Doofus Rick is got I've got all sorts of fan theories about Doofus Rick, and a lot of this has to do with him. So Crystal 911 comes, her home base that she hates, she rates as a 1, is inside a simulation. Now that reference comes from the episode Rick and Morty where they're being tricked by the Shamalians or whatever. They're just like M. Night Shyamalan, like it's that episode. So it's not actually the Teenyverse episode, because the Teenyverse episode I think is from season 2. So we can't use it, but it's inside a simulation. But she lives, and she's the Dr. Whistleblower. She's the character for Doofus Rick's car. But Doofus Rick is kind of a benign individual. If you're not into Rick and Morty and you don't watch a lot of Rick and Morty, if you haven't been watching the first 8 episodes of Rick and Morty that aired in 2014, like I have been obsessively, to the point where you start fantasizing imaginary details about characters like Doofus Rick, then you might not relate to this. If you have been, and I don't know why you would be, and I don't know what statistical anomaly would also involve you being in that condition, and also simultaneously, or not simultaneously, but then also, well, I guess because you could be doing it because I told you to, or I suggested to you. Regardless, Doofus Rick has the same situation going on with his car at some point in time that Rick Prime, or not Rick Prime, like Rick C137 has going on with his car. But Doofus Rick is a benign individual. He's not a bad person. So when he had to go in to fix the battery, he didn't lie. He didn't lie to the people and tell them I'm an alien god and I gave you this technology, whatever. To the degree that he could, and he started off with the universe as being, just a baby universe. So he had to, it wasn't an easy fit for him, and he kind of bungled it along the way. But when it came down to it, Crystal 911, when she invented her smaller universe, Doofus Rick had to tell her like 100% of the truth about the nature of her reality and the fact that she was in a car battery, his car battery. And the story with Doofus Rick and the car batteries is that because, if at the end of the episode with the car battery, real Rick, Rick C137 gets to his car and the car works. And Morty turns to him and says, well, why does the car work? Why did the guy not follow your plans and sabotage everything? And Rick turns to him and says, well, he knows that if the battery didn't work, I would just throw away the battery. And that would be the end of his universe. So he knew he had to make the universe keep on working so that my car battery would still keep on working, so that I have a reason to hold on to the battery. Right? So he leveraged, like it's a threat of existential destruction. When that situation goes down between Doofus Rick and Crystal's like, well, I'm not gonna, and Doofus Rick probably says something to her like, so Doofus Rick doesn't throw away his old car batteries when the people figure out how to create their own universes. And so part of This is me. This is my story. This is like, I made this up, whatever. It's like fan fiction. The reason that Doofus Rick is with the Council of Ricks is he's a prisoner. He's like being captured by them, and he's not giving up the information that they want to give up because there's a thing called the sale, and it's all of Doofus Rick's batteries that he refuses to throw away or destroy. He like has them going throughout the universe, but they're kind of like on an escape trajectory. They're like wandering around, but they're like, it's a cosmic sail, so like it uses energy to move forward kind of unintelligently. The batteries don't know the other batteries are next to each other, really. Well, some of them maybe, I don't know. But for the most part, they're all just the used car batteries that he refuses to throw away because he's not going to throw away universes of people. Even though when he told them what the deal was, maybe some of them went into revolution, and maybe some of them said, fuck you, we're not doing this, or you got to let us go. And he was like, okay, I'll let you go. And then he just puts them into the sale and, lets them go. And the Ricks want that sale taken out because they think it's dangerous. And they also think that it's irresponsible, and they think it's whatever. They have an agenda. And they also don't like Doofus Rick because they don't like Doofus Rick because he's benign. He's good. They don't not like him because he's happy. They don't like him because he's morally and ethically just. Anyway, so when he told Crystal 911 the truth about the situation, that's why she's Dr. Whistleblower, and that's why she's ambivalent about it, and that's why she hates where she's from, because she knows the truth and she told the people the truth. She's like, look, here's the deal. And so the people kept on working, and the people kept on working, and they didn't really even have a problem with it for the most part because it was just the nature of the state of affairs. But she doesn't like it. And she doesn't like the fact that she has to keep it going because of this inevitability, even if they're not, part of this thing. And I think that, that's kind of like the backstory. That's the imaginary backstory. Okay. So there you go. So you got like some of the imaginary backstory, and so that's the deal. So when we get to a place where she's going around and she finds herself in a place where, do you really think this world is real? It must hit a real existential chord with her because she's in this imaginary place, and I think that this what she's got to be doing here is she's trying to solve some sort of problem. And whether or not it's an actual problem or a perceived problem, we might not know. Man's search for meaning may not resolve in a true and accurate calculation of what the meaning of life is. But that doesn't mean that the ignorant person might not come up with a happy life to live, believing that they know what the nature of reality is, or how to be a good person, live a good life. And some people with high amounts of intelligence will never find satisfaction because they're always asking eternal questions that have no answer. So, there's something about her being in this world, and I don't think this is the world of the car battery. I think that, given the opportunity to leave her place, Doofus Rick was like, well, if you want to leave yourself, if you want to get out of here, you can, but I don't know if he would have said anything other than that. My understanding of Doofus Rick is that if just, if given a request, he'll fulfill it. And I don't think he's going to give a lot of like speeches about it. But they're definitely interconnected. And I think we're going to see Doofus Rick, again and appear. And I think Doofus Rick is involved in overseeing this kind of as part of the situation. Though I don't think he's calling any sort of shots because I don't think that, Doofus Rick he doesn't really operate on that level. He's kind of very much more of like an instinctual person doing the right thing. Oh, and FYI, in case you're curious, I also have an explanation for the eating poop thing. There's two possible explanations for it. Let me just do this and then we'll end it. Bucky Wilkins says, I just changed my car battery, tossed the old one. I'm like Azathoth waking up in Lovecraft now to those battery people. Circumstances and coincidences and situations. And Bucky Wilkins recently said that he thought that the spellcraft methodology was cool. So if y'all want to play this game, y'all can play this game. Does Doofus Rick eat poop? Couple of things. Number one, rabbits and bunnies eat poop. They have to. When they eat food the first time, it doesn't digest properly. So one of the key arguments that atheists have had against intelligent design for decades has been intelligent design. Yeah, right. Photograph with night vision cameras your bunnies or your rabbits if you keep them as pets, and you will see them doing something disgusting at night. And it's like the rabbits know it because they don't do this during the day. But at night, the rabbits eat their own poop. They have to. That's how they get the proper amount of nutrients. They have to run the food through their system twice. That's an argument against intelligent design, because what kind of person would design a nature's perfect prey with the added bonus, dick in the ass of having to eat your own shit to live? So one of the notions is this, is that Doofus Rick might come from a universe or a multiverse where people, for whatever reason, evolved in such a way that they had to engage in this process. But I don't even think so. What I think actually did happen was, if you notice, he says that the Morty that's assigned to him, he says was assigned to him because he never had any kids of his own, was an Eric Stoltz mask person, an Eric Stoltz mask Morty. And if you see the picture of the Eric Stoltz mask Morty that they show, he's just with a bunch of other Mortys. And he says he was assigned to him. I don't believe he was assigned to him. I believe that he knew that Morty had been marked for execution and termination because no one wanted him. That's why he was with those other Mortys. They were in a holding area. And Doofus Rick was like, no, I'll take him. I'll take him. They were like, you're such an idiot, blah, 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 blah. You want him so bad. If you want that kid, if you want that ugly, disgusting thing, you have to eat your own shit for him. And Doofus Rick did it. Why? Because it was a small price to pay to save this other individual. Now, Eric Stoltz Mask Morty is not with Doofus Rick when Doofus Rick is with these other Ricks on their grand adventure or whatever. Not all the Ricks are always with their Mortys, granted. But I have a theory, and why he says to, I forget why he says to Rick's son-in-law, why I'm blanking on the name, Jesus, he was assigned to me. Because that's the Eric Stoltz Morty's version of things. He says, you didn't even want me. I was assigned to you. And even when Doofus Rick says that wasn't the case. I think that Eric Stoltz Mask Morty, I think, actually ran away at some point and may be missing. But Doofus Rick still tells people he was assigned to me because that was the Morty's version of events. The Morty said, I was assigned to you. And even though it wasn't the case, Doofus Rick just adopts that because you say you were assigned to me. Oh, okay. You know what I mean? This is the way it goes. Anyway, with that, we have our 2003 Egyptian Tarot on the 20-year nostalgia loop for now. Folks, we got into this whole nostalgia loop thing. We've been into this whole nostalgia loop thing for a while. 2023 and all that it brought and all that it had for us is winding down. And we're coming up on the 10th anniversary of the debut of Rick and Morty and the 10th anniversary of 5th edition. Dun, dun, dun. And we pull a card and we get the Three of Swords. The classic harp may be missing, but some songs always remain the same. The classic interpretation of the Three of Swords is an interpretation of usually heartbreak and romantic conflict. Three is a magic number, but for whatever reason, the swords are thoughts, concepts, ideas, philosophies, intelligence. All the things that are the great gifts of mankind are also right? It's great burdens, because with those abilities to ask those questions are the ability to have anxieties and fears, troubles and tribulations, and to encounter other people with different ideas and different thoughts and different plans. So some of the concepts are inherited, the classic notion or the spine of the meaning of the card, and some of it is the interpretation we bring to it for us for now. Thinking thoughts, maintaining balance. 3 is a powerful number, but when we deal with power, right? If the great god Zeus is happy, then things are well. If the great gods be upset, then tragedy can befall the land, right? So keep calm and carry on. And feel free to give me feedback. Is anything about this intriguing to you? Is anything about this wanting you to be interested in playing this game, wanting to play this game? Do you think I should move on and talk about other things? Bucky, I'm starting to think CW secretly likes Rick and Morty. Ah, yep, well, I can understand how you would think that. Meanwhile, last night I stopped watching things from 2014. I just couldn't take it anymore. I started watching things from 1984. I saw The Sword of the Valiant with Sean Connery. Oh man, that is a movie to see. Sword of the Valiant. Recommend it. Okay? In the meantime, I gotta go. I love you. I love you. I love you. If nobody told you they loved you today, somebody just did. That somebody is CW Chanter. Take a look in the description box below. You'll see links to all my other channels, including my Patreon link. Oh my gosh. This guy's a Patreon. Hey man, I've been around on YouTube since 2015. Trust me. I know what I'm doing. Okay? Check out the Patreon. Okay? I love you. I love you. I love you. I've said that already. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Let me know in the comment section below what's up with this video. If you like it, you loathe it, you hate it, you love it, you think it's fantastic. Give it a thumbs up if you think it deserves so. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. And tell your friends and family, all the people that you know that are into TTRPGs. Oh, that there's this channel that they're not going to want to see. Oh, man, talking about, whoa. Anyway, such is life. I love you. I love you.